Keli ata ve'ideka Elokai Adai memeka 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 Ay 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 Dere da 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 la 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 da 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 la la da 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 ya 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 da la 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 da 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 oh. All right, we're going to Be'ezrat Hashem dedicate today's learning, the rest of the week's learning, hopefully not for too much longer, but for the refuah shlema of two children in Am Yisrael. One is a little boy who's a little bit shy of 3. He needs a big, huge refuah shlema, Yakir Ephraim ben Rachel Dvora. And also to the refuah shlema of a little girl, baby girl, just a few days old, who's mamash fighting strong for her life, and her name is Hodaya bat Shulamit Avigail. Hodaya bat Shulamit Avigail. So we'd love for us to really mechaven strong. Our learning should open up. We have no idea how any of these things work, but we know Kol Yisrael Revim Zelazeh. We're all in this together, and the learning that we do and the mitzvahs and the kavanah that we take on from the learning will result as a rachmei shamayim on these precious children. I'll tell you guys something very interesting. This never really happens to me, but last night I mamish couldn't fall asleep because I couldn't figure out how to approach today's shir. Because we're starting Tanya from the beginning. Now, our chevra has learned a chunk of the Tanya already, from Elul till Nisan. We spent already 5-6 months on a very difficult piece in the Tanya that's called Shar Yichud V'Emunah. But today we're starting Tanya from the beginning, from scratch. And I really say this not in order, stick with me. Sometimes you have people that come and say, I'm not worthy to learn this, to teach this. But you know that every time they say I'm not worthy, it's kind of like, you could sense they're really saying, I'm such a gewalt that I feel like I'm unworthy, right? But I'm telling you right now, there's no like mask here. There's no like, I'm trying to show you how much I really feel I'm on the level. I'm not on the level at all. I've been through, Baruch Hashem, I've had the privilege of learning the Tanya a number of times for many years already. And again, it seems that it's the most exciting, exhilarating, and the most intimidating experience as well, because of the following reason. This is really what I wanted to discuss. Because of the following reason. And Rav Weinberger mentioned this when he was here. When they showed the Tanya to the prodigy, remember what he said? The prodigy Remember what he said?
Such a small, such a big God they put in such a small book.
Right. Such a huge Hashem in such a small sefer. Tanya is discovering a concept called Elokut, called godliness. And we want to do it, we want to learn this sefer right. We want to learn this sefer right. For what purpose? To know what he said? In this year, we don't learn Torahs of the tzaddikim to hear what they said. Here, Bezrat Hashem, we're learning Torah to find out what we have to say. And the way that the Alter Rebbe provides for us the platform to figure out what we have to say, Chilura is mamash chilura, which means it's just awe. It's awesome. It's an awesome thing. But it's like nora ve'ayom. In a very startling way I say this. So I was thinking about the following parable to give us a little bit of an intro. And that's, you've all heard from one of the tzaddikim, I think it was Mendel Vitebsker. I don't remember exactly which tzaddik said this, to try to explain what is the chiddush of the world of the esoteric Torah, of the Kabbalah of Chassidus. What is it exactly? So one of them explained as follows. I'm sure you heard this, Shem. That we have three pillars that opened up for us the world of the Sod, of the secret of the Nistar, of Pnimiyut. And that is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Arizal, and the Baal Shem Tov. Those are the three main pillars. And of course, there's hundreds that fall, that are students of the three, and that also were semi-pillars, I would say. But the three, the ones that paved mamash, that broke down huge walls were these three. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Arizal, and the Baal Shem HaKadosh. So they explain this like this. The holy Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, what was his thing? Is that he let us know that there's a whole other world out there than what we're aware of. Right? He let us know that there's a whole other world. Like up until him, there was no real exposure or a concept of there's a whole Olam Hasod, there's a whole other world going on. Comes the Arizal, and the Arizal says, let me tell you actually what's there in that world. And then he builds more of a systematic, not fully systematic, but more of a systematic approach regarding the Talmud Eser HaSfirot, the Gilgulim, more and more telling us it's not just that it exists. I'll give you a glimpse into. I'll let you know what's there. Comes the Baal Shem Tov, and what's the Baal Shem Tov's whole chap, and how does he continue this? The Baal Shem Tov says, okay, you know that it exists, and you've been told what's there. Do you want to go there? Let me take you there. That's one way of looking at this development. So what's the Alter Rebbe? What is Chabad? So on a certain level, and especially if we were learning right now in a school of Lubavitch, we would understand, and to a certain extent for all of us, even though we haven't grown up in Chabad, the Alter Rebbe, I think, okay, this is what kept me up late last night, I think, is that what the Alter Rebbe is doing, he's saying, let me now show you what to do once you get there. The Baal Shem Tov brought us there. Now I'm going to teach you how to swim. I'm going to explain to you how to swim in a systematic order, in a derech, with a kivun. Because what the Baal Shem Tov provided for us was a yam of depth and chokhmah of Ein Sof. And what the Alter Rebbe does, and he says, okay, here's your arms, here's your legs, here's your head, here's your heart. These are all these things that you as a neshama with the body have come together with. Now let's figure out how to use all of this together and how not to get too startled from the world. So that's a huge, huge, huge undertaking. And that's what the Sefer Tanya is all about. And today I'm just going to give you a brief, this is not a history class. There should be times where we should really have just mamash, just lectures and talks about the biography of tzaddikim, which I love that. I love that. We could do that another time, and to go through the life of the Alter Rebbe, it would really, to do it right should take like a strong week of just every morning for 45 minutes of going through his life. So I'm just going to get it very, very bekitzur right now. The Alter Rebbe was born in 1745, just to get a timeline over here. 1745, I wrote down exactly one of these nifty. 1745 to 1812. And the Alter Rebbe is born to parents named Reb Baruch and Rebbetzin Rivka. Reb Baruch, now this is important. Everything I'm sharing now is not just to give you timelines, it's to explain on a certain level how the Tanya became the Tanya, not just the person, the Sefer became the Tanya, and how it provided the path for Chabad to become what it's become. Agit Morgan. This is very, very important. Because as we know, the fact that you can go anywhere in the world, mamash kimat anywhere, and have what you need to be a Yid, because of all the shluchim, the heilige shluchim that are all over the world, I believe that if we'll understand how that could be, if we go to the origins of the Alter Rebbe and how he came into the world, how he even came into the world. So the Alter Rebbe is born to these parents, Reb Baruch and Rebbetzin Rivka. And this is in 1745. And he's born, his birthday happens to be the same day as the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov. He's born Chai Elul, the 18th day of Elul, 1745. His parents, who got married 2 years before that, in 1743, couldn't have any children. And back then, the Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov were kept things very quiet, that they were students of the Baal Shem Tov. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't a massive movement yet. Remember, the Baal Shem Tov only reveals himself as a teacher in 1734. And he passes away in 1760. We're talking right now 1743. So it's the first 10 years as the Baal Shem Tov being a Baal Shem Tov. And it was a Kabbalah amongst the Talmidim that we keep it quiet. Only we know amongst ourselves that we're students of the Baal Shem Tov, but there wasn't the inyan to go to our villages and spread the gospel, Chalila. I even to use that word, I don't want to say that word, but it wasn't the inyan then to spread the word. It was kept shtovah, it was kept quiet. But amongst the Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov, even they didn't know that Reb Baruch, the father of the Alter Rebbe, was one of the Talmidim, Nistarim, of the Baal Shem Tov. Everything was kept very, very, very quiet. And they came to the Baal Shem Tov, Baruch and Rebbetzin Rivka. A year after they got married, they didn't have any children yet. And the Baal Shem Tov says to them, "Lamoed hazeh b'shana ha'ba'ah," something like that, like on this date for the next year, Be'ezer Hashem, you'll have a ben zachar. So they came to them on as Chai Elul, a year later, and then they said, in a year you will be having a ben zachar. The elation, crazy simcha, and she promised we're gonna makdish our son to your world, to your world of Torah and Dveikus v'chulei. And there's a lot more in this story, but lo and behold, a year later they had a son, and they got clear instructions from the Baal Shem Tov how to raise him, how to guard his eyes. Mamash. How to keep him mamash like an ola tamima. Like special instructions of Kedusha to keep this little boy, this little Shneir Zalman, on the path of becoming what he eventually become. In Chabad, they say that the Alter Rebbe, his name, the Baal Shem Tov would say the Alter Rebbe's name 3 times a day. In every single tefillah, he'd mention his name as well. So the Alter Rebbe and the Baal Shem Tov overlap by how much? 15 years, right? He's born in 1745. The Baal Shem Tov passed away in 1760. But the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe only meet one time. And that's when his parents brought him for his chalaka, for his upshine, in 1748. The Baal Shem Tov is the one who gave the Alter Rebbe his payas. That was the only meeting they had with each other. And there were more instructions after that as to how to raise this son. For some reason, the Baal Shem Tov also told the parents of the Alter Rebbe not to mention his name, don't even to say his name to anybody. lo and behold, the Alter Rebbe grows up as a child prodigy, a genius who's sholet, who has a command in not just Chelkei Torah, Nigle and Nister, but there were two plitim. The Alter Rebbe was born in Liozh, he's born in Liozh near Liadi. What's that?
Liozh.
I think it's the same place actually. I think it's actually the same name. It's two names for the same place. His family came from a different place, but he was born there. And there were two, I forget where they were from, these two plitim. We have that word a lot. Yeah, from a different country, who were masters in biology, in sciences, and Alter Rebbe becomes a giant also in those chokhmas as well at a very young age. At his bar mitzvah, the Alter Rebbe gave a discourse, a mimer, which till today in Chabad, if you've ever been to Lubavitch bar mitzvah, every bacher, when he's 13, he memorizes a specific mimer by heart, and he says it over mimer about tefillin. At the age of 13, he gives over such a mimer that left the whole town completely dumbfounded, mamishly. Couldn't believe what they were hearing, and they appoint him to be on the Chevra Kadisha at the age of 13, meaning he's reaching levels shelo hayu dvarim keilu. At the age of 15, he gets married, which was very late in those days, right? Now it's very common. Rabbi Nachman, anyone know how old Rabbi Nachman was when he got married? Yeah, Rabbi Nachman was 13. The Alter Rebbe was 15. And again, I'm jumping a lot just to give us, only to understand the Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe is drinking every word of Torah that he can get, but he's also, what's very interesting is that these words are going to sound not so holy, but in the context they're very holy. He mamish has an Indian in social activism. When he sees the status of how Jews are living, he would get up in darshan and marketplaces, how we should, demanding lands, v'chulei, and rights, and all of the above. One of the most beautiful things about the Alter Rebbe is his passion and love for Eretz Yisrael, how he sets up later in life a whole gemach, and it's brought down, the Ema Banim Smecha, the famous book Ema Banim Smecha, opens up the Sefer explaining that Kedushat Haaretz, how the Alter Rebbe opened up the tzedakah fund so that really all the Torah that they're learning and the Kedusha that they're achieving in Chutz La'aretz is really a gateway for a shmirah for those Jews who are in Eretz Yisrael. The Alter Rebbe has to make a certain choice at a certain age when his melamed sees that he has nothing left to teach him. The parents had a special melamed to teach the Alter Rebbe. He realizes there's nothing left anymore. And the Alter Rebbe has two choices. This is really where things get very interesting. One choice was to go to Vilna, because that's where the Gra was. There was no one more illustrious. There was no better place to immerse yourself in learning and steiging than Vilna. And the other place was Mezrich. The Baal Shem Tov is not alive anymore. Where do you go? The Maggid. The Maggid opened up shop in Mezrich. And I can't even begin to imagine. The people tell this story very nonchalantly, and he came to a decision. I can't begin to imagine what it was like for the Alter Rebbe to make that decision. But we learn something tremendous by his explanation upon the decision, regarding the decision. The Alter Rebbe said like this: to learn, I've learned how to learn, but I need to learn how to daven. So he went to Mezrich. Now what's very interesting though, is that when you look throughout Chabad, you don't see Likutei Tfilas necessarily. You don't see a world of a bunch of prayers. You actually see something, you see learning and learning and learning. If you've ever been to a Chabad bookstore, you walk into certain rooms, shelves, floor to ceiling, different svarim. Those are all Lubavitch literature. Lubavitch is learning. So I was thinking about that statement for quite a while, as to what does that mean? That the Alter Rebbe said, I have to go and learn how to daven, but what we have from it is actually, a whole world of limud. So I think, again, this is just la'aniyut dati, it's just humbly speaking. I think that the way when we learn Tanya, and for real, and incorporate it into our hearts and our lives, even though it's not specifically speaking about davening, you get to know yourself, you get to know your heart, you get to have a little bit of a hasaga of who you are, what you are, which then enables you to really to daven properly. It's remember it says in Pirkei Avos, Ezu Chacham Hamakir et Mekomo. It's Hamakir et Mekomo. Haroet Hanolad is definitely Pirkei Avos. Hamakir et Mekomo. One who knows his place. What we're going to be seeing is how the Alter Rebbe is letting us know. You're going to know your place. You're going to understand where you are, and don't let it startle you. You should be besimcha. That even if your place that you find yourself is very low, Ashreinu ba'olam hazeh, that we have a little bit of a hasaga of who we really are, not living on any illusions. But to be really aware of where we are, where we stand, not just aware of our emotions, but aware of where we are in this world, spiritually, what's going on in the world, what's happening to us now. The Alter Rebbe, I'm jumping now because I want to, before we go to that, something very specific before we learn tomorrow, inside. The Alter Rebbe spent 20 years composing the Tanya. 20 years he spent on the Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe was very medayek on every single word and letter and ot and everything in the Tanya. There's a story that one time, one of the, I think it was Rabbi Avram Malach, the Maggid's son, or maybe it was the Mittler Rebbe, I don't remember which one. They came into the Alter Rebbe's room and they saw him with a pen in his right hand and his head in his left hand like this. And they asked him, this is while he was writing the Tanya. They asked him, what's going on? He looked like he was immersed in such deep thought. And he said, for 3 weeks now, I'm debating over to add this vav or not have this vav in the Tanya. And what's the word? What's the letter vav? It's a u, ve. It's not even it doesn't even change necessarily the meaning of a word. But in the world of Chabad, they understand we darshan from Chabad, from the Tanya, over every little small letter, over every vow, over every choice of words, and we'll see this. We'll see. Like one of the most interesting things that we learn in the Tanya is that sometimes the Alter Rebbe will say, Al derech mashal kivyachol mamash. What does that mean? Kivyachol mamash. So to speak, literally, right? There's a lot of these things we're going to be seeing. Now the Alter Rebbe, though, like anyone big, gets slammed. Where does he get slammed? He gets slammed by one of the leading figures of Chassidut who made it to Eretz Yisrael with Reb Mendel of Vitebsk. They already went to Eretz Yisrael, Reb Avram Kalisker. And he gets slammed saying, listen, what you did basically, he saw the Tanya, he said, what you did is that you combined the world of the Kabbalah, of the Zohar and the Arizal, and you put it together with the Baal Shem Tov. But how do you know that you did it right? Meaning, that's a huge, huge undertaking. How do you know that you did it right? This is a huge, massive work. And there was a big, big machloket that broke out at that point. This is already around I think this is probably towards the end of the 18th century. And it almost caused a major rift between all the Chassidiyot. You know, I once saw a video of one of the descendants of Rav Ashlag, who came to the Rebbe and for dollars, and he said to him, "Can the Rebbe promote, please, that everyone should be learning Zohar now, right? Because that's that's very big in the world of Rav Ashlag." So the Rebbe said, we hold that we learn Zohar through the pieces that are brought up in the Tanya, because Tanya is filled with Kabbalah. But for many people, that was a very big, it's basically a compilation of Zohar that is being presented now to the masses. That wasn't around back then. It's a complete and total chidush. Tanya was first printed in 1796. So it caused a huge machloket back then, and there were two tzaddikim that saved the day, that mamish brought shalom. This is just good for us to understand, who we're dealing with. Who were the two tzaddikim that brought shalom between the Alter Rebbe and his misnagdim in the world of Chassidut? Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berditchever, of course, the Kedushas Levi, who was good friends with the Alter Rebbe, and Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Nachman Breslover. Rabbi Nachman and the Alter Rebbe met twice. And what's beautiful about the Yekesha Cup of Lubavitchers is that they have everything documented. So both conversations between the Alter Rebbe and Rabbi Nachman are clearly documented. I have them both. Perhaps one day we should just learn, because I've thought about that meeting hundreds and thousands of times, just to imagine those two tzaddikim looking at each other, talking to each other, is mind-boggling deep.
What's the age gap?
Sorry?
What's the age gap?
Let's think about it. The Alter Rebbe was born in 1745, Reb Nachman's born in 1772. You have there a bunch of years. Was it 27 years? You got... And the Alter Rebbe outlives Rabbi Nachman too. It's not a big chokhmah when you pass away at 38. You have a lot of people outliving you, right? But even those, we can learn even about those conversations between those two a tremendous amount. But if we had to, prepare ourselves for what we're going to be learning tomorrow, and we're starting, by the way, from the Hakdama, meaning in Lubavitch, when you learn Tanya, you don't just go to the first word. You learn the Hakdama. There's books, full books written just about the Hakdama of the Alter Rebbe. And the Haskamas of the Alter Rebbe. Who gave the Haskamot for the Tanya? We'll learn about that as well. It's unbelievable, but this provides for us a little bit, a glimpse into the fact that today, when you travel to choose a country, you have a guy there waiting for you, saying, do you have Kiddush? Do you want to put on tefillin? You think that was just a hamtza'ah of the seventh Rebbe? One more thing I forgot to mention, which will tie this all together. Rabbi Baruch, the father of the Alter Rebbe, was a direct descendant of the Maharal. And the Maharal of Prague is a direct descendant of Malchus Beis David. Okay? Of the house of David. There was a yichus there from the Maharal till the Malchut of Beit David, which means that what? What does that mean?
The Alter Rebbe is a direct descendant.
That the Alter Rebbe and the line of Chabad has a direct line. Alei David Mashiach Tzidkecha. All the Chabad Rebbeim are either sons or grandsons of the Alter Rebbe. It's all the same family. What's the last name? Schneerson. That was named after the Alter Rebbe, Schneer, right? So we see here that this is providing for us a little bit of this is just a tiny glimpse into understanding where this even originated from, why it's as systematic as it is, not how. That's what we're going to be learning while we start learning the Tanya from the beginning inside. But it provides for us an outline to really attach ourselves in a beautiful way to this world that, when you're looking at it from the outside, you're filled with opinions. Chabadniks. It's unbelievable to me, anyone that can have an opinion about any Chabadnik without understanding what's going on inside. What's the story inside? Where did this come from? How did this originate? And there's no other way of understanding the passion, heart, and the dedication and determination of any shliach in the world unless you understand the origins and the hitgalut and the revelation of the chidush of the Tanya, of taking something that was so b'shamayim, these concepts of the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid, and putting it into something that you and I can do, can work with, can daven with, can cry with. And there's a lot to say about the schools of learning the Sefer Tanya. We're not going to go into those things, and we're not going to do much more biography other than what we learned today. Maybe it'll come up here and there. But for us to really learn Mamash Chazak, we have to just keep in mind that the Alter Rebbe thought about each and every one of us when he wrote the Sefer. And we'll actually see that in the Hakdama, how he thought about each and every one of us when he was spending those 20 years writing the Tanya. The Tanya is not the only work of the Alter Rebbe, obviously. We have Shulchan Aruch Harav, Likutei Torah, Torah Or, there's other Ma'amorim, there are a lot of different discourses, tons of work, but this is where it starts. So Bezrat Hashem, now, usually when we were learning previously, we were learning with this copy of, this is obviously very, very good. On Chabad.org, when they have the Daily Tanya, they're taking it from this, the translation and the explanation. If you're able to, this is the sefer that you want for our shirim. This parish, Likutei Amarim Tanya, with the parish of Chassidut Mevu'eret, this is definitely what you're going to want for our learning. This is a work, this is a whole Gilui in the world the last few years, where they've basically steinsaltzed the Alter Rebbe. They've only done this with, it's only 4 volumes, and it only goes into Perek Lamed Vav, I think. And I think there's Nundalet Prakim. But it'll keep us busy for a long time. We're going to be learning a lot out of this beautiful sefer of people that have worked tremendously hard in bringing these very lofty concepts and making it very accessible for us in a way that we can really learn with and grapple with. And let's try to be as consistent as possible. I have very little traveling now for a while, Baruch Hashem. Very little, so I'm planning, B'ezrat Hashem, to really go strong, and B'ezrat Hashem we'll have the help of the tzaddikim and our commitment and determination to connect to this holy light. And I can't imagine now where we could go. What we could do, where we could go. All right. We'll continue with Bnei Machshava Tova after davening.
You just you said that our lady is brought shalom here?
Yeah.
We
We could if you want. Yeah, it's a whole story on its own. How Rabbi Levi Yitzchak and Rabbi Nachman played that role. Yeah.